Welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and your local witch next door. And today I'm talking about the Ace of Cups. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. For monthly hangouts, tarot Q&As, and more, you can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family. If you're local to the greater Puget Sound area, you can check out the Let's Talk Tarot meetup group for the latest event postings. If you're not local to my area, you can join me for a virtual tarot card creation event on Friday, June 20th at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I'll give you a list of recommended supplies, we'll meet online, and I'll walk you through the process of creating your own tarot cards. Get the date on your calendar now and be on the lookout for the sign-up page coming soon. If you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date information on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and more. If you don't already know, I'm a sex and relationships therapist seeing clients virtually all over Washington State. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients. If you'd like to work with a therapist that doesn't judge you and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now. You can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull. All right, so welcome to season 9, where I'm talking all about the Suit of Cups, going through one card each per episode. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. In season 1, I talked tarot basics. In seasons 2 and 3, I went through all the major arcana and the 4 suits. Season 4 was all about tarot and pop culture. Season 5, I went through 13 common tarot spreads. Season 6, the Suit of Wands. Season 7, the Suit of Pentacles. Season 8, the Suit of Swords. And now we're on to Season 9, where I'm talking all about the Suit of Cups. If you want to hear an episode dedicated to an overview of the Suit of Cups, you can check out episode 38. And before I get into the card in particular we're talking about today, let's talk about the cup suit in general. So some qualities associated with a cup suit are feelings, emotions, intuition, and creativity. Astrologically, the cups are associated with the signs of Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, which are all water signs. In the Library of Esoterica, Tarot Book by Taschen, they talk about that the cups explore the complexities of the heart, the push and pull of relationships to others, the catharsis that comes with the deeply felt emotions. Ruled by the element of water, cups are symbolic of the inner feminine, the place within where intuition and nurturing reside. And in a deck of playing cards, the cups correspond to hearts. In the Fearless Tarot book by Elliot Adam, How to Give a Positive Reading in Any Situation, they talk about that the Suit of Cups is all about your feelings and emotions. They color how we experience our reality. Feelings are fuel for whatever it is you're focusing on. In a reading, cup cards can highlight strong feelings you're harboring and what is coloring your perception from within. Cups will always show how you are feeling, not necessarily what is really happening. Each of the court cards in the cup suit reveals a sensitive figure. Cups cards in a reading will also represent your most important relationships. When these cards appear, they can describe the different people in your life who elicit strong emotions in you. Sometimes cups cards show how you are interacting with others or how others are perceiving you. Their position in a spread can often bring clarity to the emotional sphere of your life. When cups appear, they ask you to look deeper beneath the surface to discover what feelings might be affecting your current concern. Cup cards always ask you to examine what emotions are influencing your perspective from within. Cups represent the basic human need to relate, to connect, and to feel love. Although cups can signify relationships, friendships, and significant others, they can also highlight the emotions of individuals around you. Cups also describe the vibe you are giving off or that is permeating your environment. Cup cards brings information regarding your feelings to the surface so that you can understand them and channel them accordingly. All right, so let's get into the Ace of Cups in particular. So images or symbols associated with this card are, right, anything watery as we think about the water sign of cups. The colors of green and blue, this sort of overflowing cup is what's often depicted on the Ace of Cups. We see anything, again, relating to emotions like tears, love, compassion, starting new relationships. And those are some of the common things. As I look at some of the cards that I have pulled out from my Ace of Cups, in the Anima Mundi deck, we have like a chalice or a goblet, right? A cup. In the middle of the card, we see sort of, we're near the ocean, it looks like. We see some like islands, some rock outcroppings out forward in the water. And then the cup is sort of overflowing, right? There's, I think, 5 different channels where the water is overflowing or, crying in that way. And the water is coming out and then flowing all the way down into the ocean or the body of water we see here. And then we see sort of a starry background. There's light at the bottom and then gets darker as it goes up. So maybe this is like morning or twilight as sort of that transition time between the parts of the day. Um, in the deck guidebook, they talk about the Ace of Cups is about the beginning of emotional fulfillment of love, compassion, and happiness. Perhaps you're starting a new relationship where you're giving and receiving love with another person. Open your heart to those around you, learn forgiveness, and reach out and make connection. It says upright, it's all about love, compassion, overflowing emotions, right, which is sort of that overflowing cup, and creative expression. In the Desert Illuminations Tarot, we again see, in this one, they're depicted as jugs instead of cups because we're in this sort of Southwest US, I don't know, cowboy sort of vibe. And they say that they are whiskey jugs, mystic whiskey. So there's like, instead of being sort of like water, it looks like this flowing out of the jug. It is these like rainbow colors that are flowing out. So again, we see the jug in the middle of the card. We see the sort of hand of God coming out from this time the right hand of the card with the purple cloud around it. We see a cactus at the top of the like whiskey jug on here, which is interesting because that cactus is part of the Pentacles suit in this deck. And then we see like a dove on top of it. And then at the bottom, we have sort of, it looks almost like it's going into a pond, like we have some lilies. It's like some lily pads, and then we see sort of some desert mountains behind it. And the card itself is sort of teal, so we do get that green-blue vibe, but then there's a lot of other colors, right? We have the rainbow coming out of the Mystic Whiskey Jug. We have the lily pads are green and pink. We have the purple clouds. We have the green cactus. We have the dove. And then the mountains in the background are also purpley. All right, I'm going to look into this deck guidebook and see what it has to say about the ace as well. Okay. A hand appears through a purple mist over the desert, holding an all-seeing jug. Oh yeah, there's an eye in the middle of this jug here. The jug is overflowing with psychedelic whiskey as a divine dove dips a cactus button into this potion, injecting it with magic spirits. This potion is overflowing into the river below that is blooming with lotus flowers, symbolizing the opening of the crown chakra and spiritual abundance. This card represents the flow of the universe through you. Your receptivity makes everything manifest in your life easier. Healthy relationships, creativity, and communication appear without much effort or restrictions. This is an exciting card. Positivity is blooming in all aspects of your life. Again, we get those blooming flowers. And it says, accept that all good things are coming your way and enjoy this moment of pure bliss. What a wonderful card we get there. And then lastly, I'm looking at the Sacerobito Tarot deck by Stasia Burrington. The one I was just talking about was the Desert Illuminations Tarot by Lindsay D. Williams. And the first one was the Anima Mundi Tarot deck by Megan Weilerlander. If we're looking at the Sacerobito Tarot Cups card, we see a cup that's maybe more of like a mug looking. It's full of green liquid, so I'm not quite sure what's supposed to be in there. And we see actually drops coming from above it and then also flowing out of it. So maybe we get this, again, divine connection of the water or the liquid kind of coming from above, going into the cup, and then also overflowing. And then we see hands, like two hands holding the mug, sort of cupping it, again, like you would like a hot beverage if your hands were chilly. And the fingernails are painted like a bluish greenish as well. So again, we get these blue, the mug itself is blue and the liquid inside is green. So we get the blue-green colors again. And then in the background, we get like a pinkish hue to the card. It says the Ace of Cups here is all about love, emotional intelligence, and compassion. This card shows a teacup full and overflowing with tea. It indicates your capacity for giving and receiving love. The card points to the possibility of love, be it romantic or otherwise. The focus here is on intuition, empathy, and kindness, as well as attraction and affection. The cups center around feelings and spirituality, so trust your gut and listen to your heart. All right. So if we're looking back in the Library of Esoterica, Tarot book by Taschen, they talk about that the Ace of Cups in particular, again, about love, abundance, and beginnings. The Ace of Cups symbolizes fertility, joy, and spiritual sustenance. It is a card that often refers to positivity and emotional openness. So again, like the Cups cards are all about the wateriness of emotions, the heart, right? We saw that it was associated with the heart in the deck of cards or hearts. We'll go back to the Fearless Tarot book by Elliot Adam, and this time look at the Ace of Cups in particular. It says it's about renewal and represents love, renewal, and birth. This card reminds you that love surrounds you from all directions, north, south, east, west, ahead of you, behind you, within, without, in what you can perceive and in mysteries too vast to comprehend. If you're looking for inner peace, then love is what you need to reconnect with. All religions talk about this love. Love is everywhere, and yet sometimes it's so tricky to perceive. All the poets, artists, and singers try to capture it. Love permeates everything, and yet sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. When is the last time you gave yourself over to feeling overwhelming love? Has your cup felt like it's dry or empty? Were you taught that true love only exists after you find the right person, blinding you to love's true immensity? It says, often a heavenly dove flies down from above, bringing a message of peace and hope. The dove has been associated with love and the realm of the spirit in countless traditions. To the ancient Greeks, the dove was a symbol of Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. For the Christians, it embodies God's messenger, the Holy Spirit. The dove represents the realm of the spiritual and the supernatural. Again, we often see that angelic hand offering the large cup overflowing with divine love. The water streams into a pond of lotus flowers, which are symbols for enlightenment. Love enlightens us. That means it lightens our burdens from within. The W that is sometimes depicted on the cup, and I don't think I have that in any of mine that I'm looking at right now. It says could symbolize the cardinal direction west. The west is the realm of the element of water. It is also the direction the sun sets in. This reminds you that every sorrowful ending is always followed by a joyful new beginning. All aces in the tarot symbolize new beginnings. In this case, the Ace of Cups is appearing to encourage you to renew your love for yourself and your experiences. If you find yourself unhappy with your current conditions you're experiencing, it could be because you forgot to let love be the answer. It's time to open yourself to love. You absolutely deserve it. Love, peace, and joy are your natural states. They're in your core and at your center. You can return to the center, especially during sorrows and difficulties. Love is the voice within that gives you the reassurance that everything will be fine because you are forever, not this particular situation. Try addressing your current problems by releasing them to love. Transcend your tightness and resistance. Watch how easily tension resolves when you smile at your challenges and love yourself enough to know what you do will prevail through transcendence. This release of tension occurs because you are no longer fighting against your true nature. Turn to love as the solution and watch miracles begin to happen. All right. In the Tarot and Astrology book by Corinne Kenner, they talk about the Ace of Cups is all about the power of water. Still water runs deep, and the Ace of Cups is a bottomless font of feelings, emotions, desires, joys, and sorrows. It's a significant card that represents the importance of emotional life and relationships. People are creatures of sentiment and feeling. We spend the majority of our time assessing our feelings, gauging our reactions, and wondering how other people feel about us. The ratio can be likened to the physical properties of water in the human body, 60 to 75%. Similarly, the oceans cover about 75% of Earth's surface. The card symbolizes the healing power of love as well as the grace of compassion and forgiveness. It also serves as a reminder of the power of intuition, which we can achieve by tapping into the undercurrents of human emotion. What's more, its womb-like shape represents creativity and fertility. Cups are receptive, and they make an excellent counterpart to the fiery energy of the wands. In the watery world of emotions, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are all water signs. They correspond to the suit of cups. The cups cards usually include a lot of watery greens and blues, and they feature lakes, rivers, streams, and oceans. The glyph for the element of water is a downward pointing triangle that looks like a drop of water, and the Ace of Cups corresponds to the season of autumn or fall. And lastly, in the Tarot for Change book by Jessica Dorr, they talk about that in addition to the cups being this emotional realm, they are also symbols of receptivity as a cup receives water. Receptivity implies relationship and asks us, what would a more relational way of engaging with our surroundings look like? What would happen if we reoriented the imagination toward a way that sees the self both as dreamer and that which is dreamt? Could we make room for the possibility that what we feel and experience in the flesh house of the body is not always rooted in a private individual experience, but comes from an ecosystem to which we belong? What if, for example, rather than seeing ourselves as taking a walk through the woods, we see ourselves as being a wave of energy rippling through the consciousness of a family of redwoods? How would this change the way we move through the environments we dwell in? How would it change the way we relate to our experiences? Emotions are how we understand our raw experiences, not in an evaluative or judgmental way, as with intellectual understanding, but rather as an intuitive, felt, cellular type knowing. The trick, and what's taught in many behavioral therapies, is learning to suspend action for long enough that this kind of knowing can move through us. They talk about in the Dear Sugar column, Cheryl Strayed, that she used to write and answer people in. She once advised a reader, don't own other people's crap. The author says, I've thought about that a lot over the years. To understand the cup suit, we have to get clear on what aspects of our experience even fall into the realm of ownership. For example, my behavior is something I can own or be accountable for, while other people's behavior is not something I can or should. But with emotions, it's not always clear who owns them. It says that I've woken up heavy with the boulder of my grandmother's grief on my chest, breathed deeply while sweating from the fire of my mother's rage. And I could say that's theirs, not mine, if I wanted to, but what good would that do? Emotions are living, energetic currents with life cycles of their own. They tend to survive down the vertical and horizontal lines of human relationships, through generations, communities, until they arrive to the place where they can be fully experienced and expressed, and that can take a while. It says, it seems to me that when an emotion arrives, it's yours to deal with regardless of where it came from. If a storm comes and floods your house, would you search for whom the water belonged to and then send the nearest large body of water a bill for the damage? When the house floods, it is inconsequential which body of water or whose territory it was where the rain clouds formed. No one asks, no one cares. If you're in it, it's yours to deal with. If we understand magic as using the subtle to influence the dense, we can listen to the way that the subtle, invisible energy of emotions moves through us and others, often intermingling in the intrapsychic space. We can open ourselves up to the forces that are trying to be expressed through us and maybe learn to take it a bit less personally. So often our problems in the emotional space stem from beliefs that grief means we did something wrong, or that if we're angry, we ought to be ashamed. We don't have to look at it this way. Emotions come from all kinds of places, and we can be like the cup and make a space to receive them. The Ace of Cups is often depicted as the Holy Grail, the cup sought after by knights in the legends of Western Europe. The Holy Grail was alleged to have magical healing powers and was believed by some to be the cup that Jesus drank from at the Last Supper. In the story of the Holy Grail, the protagonist Percival attains it when, and only when, he arrives at the Grail Castle and asks the wounded king guarding the Grail, "What ails you?" Neither chivalry nor courage nor cunning were required. It is the simple asking, this receptivity, that ultimately earns Percival the prize. The lesson here, I think, is that taking the time to be curious about emotions, to ask questions, to listen, to be receptive, is the key to attaining something holy and treasured. All right, so let's dive in and see what the cards have to say today on this topic. I'm pulling cards from the Citadel, a Fantasy Oracle by Ben Inkwright. All right, let me give a quick shuffle here. And as I do so, I'm going to be thinking about, right, how do we receive in the way that the cup does, right, from the divine and then overflowing into the bodies of water on this planet that hold us? How can we recognize that we are part of systems and communities and generations, and that sometimes, right, our emotions or different feelings that come up aren't entirely ours in isolation, right? Emotions can be experienced in community as well and often transmuted more easily through that. And how can we, right, be allowing of our emotions even when maybe society or other aspects of culture or family or what we grew up with in childhood told us that emotions, especially certain emotions, were not okay. All right, I got the Enchanter, and it says it's about deception and trickery. Interesting. Let's see here. Okay, so the Enchanter, and I'm just going to read the upright because that is how I pulled the card. So the Enchanter, it says, a flash of flame, whirls of green smoke, and a flock of doves that appears from nowhere. Very interesting. We get the green and the doves. The audience applauds. The Enchanter takes a bow. They know how to entrance and entertain, and with a century of arcane learning behind them, they never put a foot wrong. But is it truly magic, or is it all smoke and mirrors? You may be in a situation where you've been forced to deceive another, and whether it was intentional or not, you run the risk of being caught out in your lie. You could back away, hoping that it will be forgotten about or resolve itself in time, but you run the danger of it spiraling out of control. Or you can you can own it, take responsibility for your own actions. The decision is yours. I'm going to look at the reversal because it's standing out to me right now. It says the Enchanter reversed addresses the repairing of relationships after a deception comes to light. You or someone you know may have had the truth of their deceit revealed, willingly or not. Losing them the trust of others, now is the chance to work together to reach a state of reconciliation. And since I did pull this upright, right, I don't necessarily think that the reversal is what we need to know right now. But I think it's interesting that in the reversal, they speak more about the relational side. And so maybe, right, part of what we're deceiving from ourselves or others, right, maybe we're denying or not recognizing about ourselves is because we're maybe trying to protect other people, either from our emotions or from their own, and having those feelings, right? Hoping it'll be forgotten about, resolve itself in time, but sort of in not recognizing them, right? We can often the emotions I think can get bigger, or they want to take up more space, or they want to be seen in that way, right? And then the card asks us, you can own up, take responsibility for your own actions. The decision is yours, right? So again, like Jessica Dore talked about, right? We can take responsibility for our behavior, right? How we react to things, how we engage with other people, how we, again, yeah, sort of receive or interact with, right, other people's emotions or reactions, but we can't control our own emotions or others, right? Especially not other people's emotions. And sometimes I think that, right, maybe this deception is coming in the place of that we are trying to either deny our own feelings or deny other people's feelings or try to not have them feel their own emotions, right? Maybe you see them as negative emotions, maybe it's like depression or sadness or anger, and right, maybe you care about this person greatly and you want them to not have to feel those things, right? Sometimes, especially when we're in a relationship with other people, right, we don't want them to be hurting. Like that can be really hard to sit with and tolerate. But right now, right, this card's telling us that actually we need to take responsibility for our own actions, right? And that other people's feelings are not what we need to take responsibility for, even when, right, maybe their feelings are creating actions or creating things in the relationship. Again, we can operate from the place of how do we actually like interact with them, right? Our own behavior, what we do when we see someone is sad or depressed or angry or resentful. But by trying to control other people's emotions, right, we end up in this unhelpful cycle where then it feels like your responsibility if they are unhappy. And that can be, right, that's a great burden. And also, it's not our responsibility, even though we care about those we're in relationship with. All right, so links for the tarot decks will be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. Thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. And you can always email me, again, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more on the podcast. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.